It's time for Push to Play, your weekly trophy podcast with Mindy and CJ.
Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us for episode 25 of Push to Plat. Be you new listener, return journeyman, or someone that's just unfortunately got their podcasting out stuck on Push to Plat. Thank you for joining us and spending the next 90 minutes, shall we say? Who are we kidding? A couple of hours with us today. Now, before we get any further, can I introduce my co-host, but my first achiever co-host, I suppose I should now call her. How are you today, Mindy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Yes, I'm right, aren't I? Another first achiever? Is that correct?
Yeah. But we'll talk about that later.
Yes, we will. We need to get you a tag or something. Excellent. And look, listeners, can we introduce and welcome our returning guest from episode 14, Mr. DatOneSeagull. How are you today, sir?
Hey.
Good. You sound like you're ready to go. So, look, just before we jump in today, I noticed that we had a bit of a spike of new listenership. So I'm not sure, again, if that's, you accidentally clicked the wrong button when you were loading up your podcast app or your computer. But, look, we appreciate it. It fans my ego lovely. So, if you are a new listener and you decided to come back for another episode, I do wish to welcome you. And I encourage you, if you're interested, to go back and have a listen to a bit of our catalogue. We actually up to, what is this, episode 25. So I didn't realize this, Mindy, but did you realize, because we haven't missed an episode yet, that last week's was actually 6 months that this thing has been going?
Oh, really? Is it our anniversary? Well, I guess it's not our anniversary, is it?
Well, not really.
I didn't come on until later.
No. Have you thought about what gift you're going to buy me yet? I mean, our anniversary is coming up.
Have you thought about what you're going to buy me?
Well, I thought we'd have a bit of role reversal, a bit of me too. Like, you.
Uh-huh.
Well, we'll have to discuss that later, I suppose, listeners. So, Seagull, we have a question here today, and I'm going to throw this question to you first. This comes from Slammer Jammer 28, and we'll all have a go, but I think you can lead us off here. If given the choice, what superpower would you want? If given the choice, what superpower would you want?
Super speed. And the reason for that is so that my metabolism would react at a super pace so that I could eat everything and still maintain my 145-pound weight.
Wow. Yeah, that would be impressive. Yeah. I like how quick you were on the drop on that. You've obviously considered this.
Oh, yeah, no, that's something that I really want. Super speed.
How about you, Mindy?
Yeah, I'd be like Nightcrawler. I'd be able to teleport wherever I wanted, based mostly on, either I've seen a picture of a place or I know the coordinates of it. And it'd be helpful if it burned, a zillion calories every time I did it. Not really a zillion because I would die, but don't have to go to the gym. Just, you teleport and you've just burned 200 calories.
Yeah.
Something realistic.
Yeah.
But if you teleport,
you won't need a passport anymore.
That's true. Might be your ticket out of America.
Yeah, right.
Although, would you burn calories though if you teleported? Like, wouldn't it just be like a push? Like, I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it's done differently.
I just have this image of somebody just rapidly teleporting around the country.
Half
an hour, and then their gym workout is over.
Oh, make no mistake, that's exactly what I would do if I needed to work out. I'd be like, okay, I'm teleporting to my bedroom, and now I'm teleporting to the kitchen, and now I'm teleporting to the hallway, and now I'm teleporting to my mailbox.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Today we had sightings of Mindy on...
And now you're anorexic.
We had sightings of Mindy on the East and West Coast. Very briefly, of course. I like it, yeah. Look, what special power would I like? Well, I suppose I'll go with something different. I think I'd like levitation, but not necessarily to levitate myself, although that would be pretty cool, but to just levitate random objects. Could you imagine the craziness and the fun you could have with other people if you could do that.
So you want telekinesis?
Yeah, well, I suppose that's the fancy. I'm more of the Harry Potter sort of generation. Well, the Harry Potter generation. Who are we kidding, listeners?
I love Harry Potter too.
I was, yes, look, so do I. So I'm basing it on that sort of, yeah, I suppose it is telekinesis, but a watered down version, if you like. Just like floating the pencil around the room and stuff like that to freak people out. That would be awesome.
Guardian Leviosa.
It's like that, isn't it? Yeah. The fake spider trick would have a lot more power if you could actually make that thing move with your mind. I like it, yeah. I don't know, Slammer, I'm sure you would have a fantastic superpower, probably involving pineapples.
I was gonna say he would summon pineapples.
Yes. Don't you think he already has enough, though?
You can never have enough pineapples. They are good. They are delicious.
Very true. He'll probably appropriate that now, so he's probably already got some.
I've had 3 pineapples in a row one time. I have a very fast metabolism.
Yes, we've already established that that's your superpower. Yeah.
Well, no, that's actually true.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Good. Well, look, there we go. Now, I'm just going to take a moment too because I forgot to do it at the start, but we got some new artwork for our YouTube channel and our banners and stuff like that, and it came in yesterday from Pyro DeZeus TV, and I wanted to thank him hugely because I was not expecting this. I actually opened it in the morning on the way to work, and it was a really pleasant surprise because, as you know, listeners, my creativity does not extend to anything to do with graphic arts and stuff like that. So we've been using we're actually using a banner that Pyro had made us ages ago, but I hadn't really managed to put on our channel very well, and then some artwork that we've got, some very good artwork which we're still using from Danny 5 from Fiverr.com actually. So now we've got this thing, and it's I know you've seen it, Mindy. What's your opinion of it? I'm going to put you on the spot. It's very modern, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just going to take a little getting used to. I mean, it's gorgeous. I'm so used to the other one that I'm just kind of thrown when I see the new one.
Yeah, it is like that. Well, look, I love the YouTube banner, and the other one we're gonna figure out where we're gonna put the other one at this point, but we'll use it in some aspect or whatever else. But I want to thank you hugely for that, Pyro, and I think I've sent you a thank you privately. Otherwise, I will do that today, so you'll hear it before the episode, so we're safe there. And also because this came in a couple of weeks ago, and we haven't had a chance to acknowledge it yet, but we had a very nice review on iTunes from Burage 1. I'm going to go with that. Apologize if I've said it incorrectly. And he just says that I enjoy this podcast because they stay focused on trophies, great content that has improved my own trophy hunting experience. So that's awesome. I'm glad you enjoy it, and I hope you're still with us because that did come in a month ago. And we also had an email from the artist or player formerly, or both, I suppose, formerly known as Reddy as well, just reaching out and saying hi and that he was enjoying the show as well. So thank you for those people that are reaching out. I know there are people on Twitter as well. So, continue to do it because sometimes it can feel a little isolating. Maybe I just speak for myself here, but possibly Mindy as well, because we don't always know who we're touching or affecting across the week. So it's lovely to hear from you. But look, that's enough from me. Why don't we move over to some games and Seagull? Would you like to start us off with what you've been playing this week?
Oh my God. Oh Jesus. So do I start off from the last time I was on the show, or do I go for?
How about just like the last week or so?
Yeah. Okay. So I got all of the Grisaya games done. I don't really know how to say them because they're all in Japanese.
I have a feeling the pronunciation will take you longer than actually playing the game.
So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got all of them done. I started .hack GU last Recode. I stopped it because I really want Mass Effect 2 to be my 200th platinum. I got 2 Metagal platinums for the Vita. I'm continuously working on Mass Effect 2. I'm at 86% out of 100% completion on that. I got Tetris Escape and Mochi Mochi Boy platinums. I had a goal that from the last episode to reach 200 platinums by the end of the year, and I'm at 199. I am so close.
Congratulations
to this goal, and it will be Mass Effect 2, and then I'll go back to .hack GU. Also, I talked about another goal, which was my PC gaming goal, and I've been playing this game called League of Legends, and my goal was to get to gold in that before the end of the year, and all the rewards. I got to gold, so now I'm going to get my rewards. So both of my goals are pretty much done.
So what happens now? Are you retired?
No,
What are you going to do for the rest of the year?
I'm just going to play backlog games. I'm going to play backlog games because, like real games. I'm not going to do any more cheese games until I feel threatened and have to do cheese games.
Okay, fair enough. Now, I want to go back a bit here because you threw this game out. This game interests me somewhat. The Hack GU Last Recode. Now, this is a pretty long game, isn't it? This is a pretty...
Well, it's a 3 out of 10. There's only one missable, but it's 100 hours long, and but apparently it's the easiest 100 hours you will ever do, according to other people.
Oh, I'd love to know the reason behind that.
Well, apparently there's no difficulty scaling. It's just like you play it, eventually you'll hit the platinum without really trying.
Okay.
It's like the trophies actually seem pretty, except for that one missable that you have to watch out for. They seem pretty like you do this stuff and it just comes naturally.
Okay.
Like I feel like after 100 hours, if you don't have at least all those except for that one trophy, you're doing it wrong.
Okay. Is this a port for... This is not a new game, is it?
No, it's it's 4 games in one, but with one trophy list. I hate when they do that. It's a remastered from PS2.
Okay. And what's the basic gameplay? Sorry, my knowledge on this is limited, this game, listeners. I'll admit that.
It's action. It's action, but it's like Kingdom Hearts. Oh. You're in a restricted area, but you press X, triangle, square, all that stuff.
Okay.
So it's like a Tales of game or a Kingdom Hearts game.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And look, how is Captain Shepard going? How close are you to the end of your Mass Effect?
Well, I'm on my insanity run right now. I beat the Horizon level, which apparently is one of the harder levels. It wasn't that hard. Whoever said that is a joke. I'm coming up to another one of the harder levels, which is the Ghost Ship. But I can't really say anything yet because I'm not up to that yet. But like I'm halfway done with Insanity. The problem is that there's a lot of patience involved. So like a level is literally taking me 2 to 4 hours.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you a question here because I've never played any of the Mass Effect games. I understand the first, the trilogy, the original trilogy is very good. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, yeah. How do they date? Like, how do they age to now? Is it still? Does it hold up?
Mass Effect 1 is pretty. It did not age well. It's pretty bad in terms of aging, and the reason for that is because the game was ported from the 360. It wasn't even like it was optimized. It was just straight up ported. So like there's just a lot of bugs and glitches and things that go wrong, like frame rates drop like crazy, and then you just die out of nowhere. It's stupid, but the game itself is really good. Like the story is good. The paths that you can take, like it's good. But Mass Effect 2, that one's is a little better because it's optimized for the PS3. It came out for both the 360 and PS3. It wasn't just ported over to the PS3. You could just play it as a PS3 game now, and it's not as buggy or glitchy. There are some frame rate issues, but the combat is a little bit more toned, and it aged a little better, but not. It's still pretty tough. Mass Effect 3, I did play a little bit of that. That one is aged a lot better.
Do you have any plans to do Andromeda as well?
I do want to do the whole franchise. I heard that after all the patches, it was like Assassin's Creed Unity, where like it got better.
Well, I think it was also accused of of having an Assassin's Creed problem in that there was no emotion in the faces. So the dialogue was given, but it was just a blank face.
Yeah, no, yep. I don't want to play as a girl because the girl looks creepy. Because the way that she smiles is just so creepy. The man doesn't even smile at all, so I'm just gonna pick him and not have to scare myself at night.
Well, I think they did patch in some sort of expressions, but I think that was one of the many issues. But I believe it has improved. But look, if someone's played that, or if you do go ahead and play that, Seagull, you'll have to let us know. Let us know what it's like, because I don't think it's on the list.
I intend to do it.
Yeah, I don't think it's on the list for myself. Is it? It's probably not on the list for you either, Mindy, I imagine.
No.
Well, I have a list of my full backlog, like an Excel sheet of it, and that is one of the games on there. And I intend to be a backlog warrior and 100% my backlog. All 700 games. It's going to be a life mission.
If I had a list like that, I would just, I think I'd cry and just tear my hair out. All of it.
It's going to be a life mission.
Rocking in a corner, just kind of, one at a time, just picking my hair out.
It's going to be a life mission. If I'm clearly going to die before this.
Well, I mean, I'm not even sure that I have enough time left in my life to write a backlog list at this point. I think I've reached the Invex point there where it would be quicker to finish my games than perhaps to write the list. I don't know. It's fascinating, Look, see, we've deviated here, and I notice you were both, measuring sizes of completion rate percentage beforehand. I just wanted to have a look at something.
Mine's bigger than Seagull's.
Well, it's very close, though, isn't it?
I'm going to get to 100%. I only have like 27 games that I haven't done. It should be simple.
What is interesting, though, is, Seagull, you actually have 855 unearned trophies, and Mindy has 841.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm almost feeling a little battle here. I wonder who'll have the lowest unearned trophies by the end of the year, because I imagine Mindy's is not going to change.
I actually had 750 until I put Mass Effect 2 .hack and Assassin's Creed on there.
Yeah, okay. I see Mindy's ish.
Oh no, not Assassin's Creed. It was Tales of Zestiria. So that kind of messed things up.
What do you think, Mindy? Do you think, because your issue is the PS3, isn't it? Like, most of those trophies are there.
Yeah, it's definitely the PS3.
And I mean, just judging by the first 15 pages of your profile and only seeing the words PS4 and Vita, I don't think that number's going to change.
Shut up.
In fact, I think there's a good chance that number could hit 1,000 in the next, few months.
Well, no, because I have to jump on my PS3 in the next 2 weeks so I can unlock that Last of Us trophy before they shut the servers down.
Okay.
Yep. Or else there won't be a platinum for you or 100%. Okay. That's true. They are shutting it down.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the only reason I bring it up is that, you mentioned your goals there, Seagull, and I was thinking, what goals does an aimless man have in life, really? It's hard to pin down anything, for myself. So I thought, a real goal, a real challenge, like we've talked about 100% completion, 1,000 plats, whatever, these things, whatever, they come, they go. Obviously,
I think the hardest part is going to be getting Final Fantasy 15 100%.
That is true. That will take some manipulation. But one pure challenge would be to try and get your unearned trophies above the number of earned trophies. So could you actually get more unearned trophies than trophies? And I know this was a little bit of a discussion where we talked about some games only worth playing up to 1% of because of the quality of the game or whatever. So that's a question.
CJ, you're actually pretty close.
I know, I'm very close, but this is a real challenge.
I'll never be like you.
No. Well,
never.
Look, I'm not sure that I'm going to achieve this goal because it's very challenging. And I challenge you, the listener, just take a moment, all jokes aside, and consider what it...
Don't do it.
Well, consider what it would take to actually, you could start a new profile, I suppose, and put on 10 trophies, but to have, to seriously have a go. And then I thought, if there's one player in the world that could do this, it is the Grandmaster himself. I'm sure you know who I'm referring to, Seagull here. Ikemensis. And I thought, surely the master has achieved this. And he has not only achieved this, he has smashed this out of the park. He has 78,000 and change trophies, and he has 141,000 and change unearned trophies.
Who is this?
He's putting us all to shame. I mean, what am I doing with numbers like that?
Wait, who is
Yeah,
this?
The 33% warrior on the top of the leaderboards, Ike Menzie, the guy who I don't even consider a trophy hunter.
Oh, that is not true. You're being unfair there. I think that's a fantastic
No,
stat.
I
I
don't.
challenge you, listeners, and the completionists amongst you who have lost control of your
Please don't.
OCD and are now grinding your teeth in dissatisfaction. Imagine the effort and achievement that goes into it to that. That is impressive. But look,
Don't do it.
that's enough talk of Ike until he takes down the number one spot in the next few weeks. With the pace he's moving, he probably will. So let's move across.
He's also a team account, so hopefully he cheats in some way so I can get him removed from the leaderboard.
Well, who can cast the first stone on that page, to be honest. But Mindy, what have you been playing this week?
Yes, sir. Not a ton, honestly. I got that Assassin's Creed Odyssey trophy that I was worried about last week. Apparently, it took like 3 different times for me to launch the game up for the notification to pop up that yes, it is live in my game, even though there's no additional patch I had to download. So that's
is that
done.
a documented glitch, or is that just random for you?
No, it was just a timed thing, I guess, that they threw in with the patch that came out a couple of weeks ago.
Because I noticed other people were getting that.
Yeah, and I think
Like
mine just started late. I think it was just a timed.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Community thing.
Are you happy to have that done? I'm sure you are.
Well, yes, until they put out more trophies next month for Discovery Mode, and apparently they've said that there's more Lost Tales of Greece or whatever, which means probably more trophies for that too.
Yes. Yeah.
So I finally broke down this week, and I bought an external hard drive.
Oh, good for you. Yeah.
How much? Oh my God. You're gonna have so much extra space. It's gonna be great.
Oh man, I went on
I want to get an extra.
No lie, I went on a downloading spree once I got that thing hooked up.
Oh my God, yes.
So is it full, or did you leave some space?
I do the same thing.
So I've moved Assassin's Creed Odyssey over to that, and then personal triumph. I finally was able to delete Conga Master from my PS4.
Well done.
Because I could cry. I'm so happy.
Oh man,
I got that platinum.
RNGesus was kind.
It doesn't have to hurt me anymore. Don't touch this game.
I don't plan on it. Sounds like a terrible game.
It's cute. It's easy to play, but 80% of this platinum is RNG. It's awful.
Sounds like my worst nightmare.
And they just put the 2 stacks on Vita. Not gonna touch them.
I don't blame you.
Oh, and it looks like the Vita's got a bunch of glitch trophies anyway, so that's funny.
Is it the same list on Vita? Or?
Yeah, it's more or less the same list. There's a couple of wording tweaks, but it's
Okay.
You have to do the same stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it looks like they took out. Oh no, they just moved. No, wait. No, they moved it and they put the wrong icon. It looks like they removed the trophy for getting a conga line of 101 people, but no, it's still there and it's got the wrong trophy icon on it, which is funny.
Oh. Okay.
Also, I played. I've platinumed, and this is something I'll talk about more during the new release part, but I platinumed Harvey's New Eyes. And again, I think I'm the first person to platinum it.
Yes, yeah. I'm sure you are. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
And should we anticipate a walkthrough of Harvey's wonderful New Eyes at some point?
Yeah, it's written. I will probably post it when we're done recording here.
I know you're going to talk about this game in the new releases, which is fine, but I thought we could just talk about the first 3 minutes because that's all that I've played, and then you can say the bulk of the game for that section. But how fantastic is that song at the start? I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a good song.
It is a good song.
You should send it to yourself from last week's podcast when we were talking about music.
Yeah, I should go back in time. I'll throw that in for next time. But we'll leave that one because, as you said, you want to.
Hi, Daryl.
You want to speak about it.
I love you. Please don't pull Please don't pull a CJ Ike. Don't do
I think
it.
you'll find it's too late. I think he's converted.
It is very much too late. He's going for 1%.
You already picked your superpower, and time travel was not it. Moving on.
That is true. Moving on. Now, moving on to Block a Pix Deluxe. How is this going?
Oh, it's just a grind.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, I will get there. I haven't actually played it since last I spoke of it, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you've been busy enough.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, that's cool. And anything else you'd like to throw out there, or?
No, nothing else I've played this week.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Well, look, listeners, what have I been playing? I've been playing a mix of things. I'll just start off with a very quick shout out to the Sagebrush, which I know you talked about. Was it last week or the week before, perhaps, Mindy, where you did the guide for this game as well?
2 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah, you did it a bit earlier, so it probably was 2 weeks ago. So look, Mindy referred to it. I suppose we classify it as high class spam. I really enjoyed it. I can't remember. Was your verdict overall positive or not so much, Mindy?
Positive.
Yeah, it was good. And I remember you talking about the art style at the time, and obviously I hadn't played the game, so I couldn't really place it or whatever. But having played it, I actually think it quite works for this game. It definitely adds sort of a little bit of a creepy or chilly sort of realism to it, I think. I don't know if you found that, Buzz.
I don't know. I could take or leave the art style. I'm not saying it didn't work. I'm just saying I didn't really see a reason for it to be that way.
Yeah. I must admit, and I sort of want to ask you this question, but I don't want to spoil the game. So I suppose, if you're that caught up in the story, maybe just skip ahead a minute or two. But at the end there, where you're walking down the tunnel, after you enter the church.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember this? And how did you find, I don't want to say any more because I don't want to sort of ruin it. How did you find that, as an ending? Did you find that was a bit, I don't know.
Let's be vague here.
Yes, I don't want to mention specifics, but do you think it worked? Did it?
Are you talking about the very, very end of the game or the sequences that lead you to the end of the game?
The sequences. I didn't have a problem with the very ending, the final scene. I thought that was fine. I just the sequences into that last section.
It was what it was. It was just being kind of artsy and a visual metaphor. I mean, you don't really think that's what happened, right? It's
no.
No, it kind of came out of nowhere because at no point prior to that were there any sort of visual metaphors in the game. But I thought it was fine. It's a bit out of left field, but it was fine.
Yeah, I think that was my problem. Is the game was the narrative in that game was pushed forward by the notes. That's no spoiler. There's no spoken dialogue, and I think that really added to the atmosphere of the game. And then to have it was a very big narrative dump in the last 3 or 4 minutes or so of the game. I almost wonder if it would have been stronger not to have had that in there. Maybe that's just me personally, I think. But I don't know, listeners. You can find. But look, I would. Mindy recommends it. For what it is, and look, so do I. I thought for a few dollars, I think it wasn't expensive. It's well worth a look. On the flip side, here, listeners, if you feel that it's time that your driving skills need to be updated, and I'm sure it is that case for me, I can recommend the Driving Essentials game, which is literally a series of driving lessons. I believe there's 10.
Is this the one you talked about that's like $50?
The price is not important in this situation.
So it is. Yeah.
Well, look, I don't understand the pricing of this game because it has come out on PC and Xbox. It's been out for some time, and the price is not in that realm. So I did think initially maybe it had VR support or something. Maybe that was the reason, but it doesn't. It doesn't play in VR. It just plays normal. But look, the price aside, it's an interesting. I haven't played a game like this. I suppose it's a game. It's very much an educational game, I suppose, or whatever else. And all the information seems very, very valid. I mean, obviously it's a little challenging for me because you drive on the other side of the road in America. So every now and then I take a right-hand turn and lose some points, but that's my own fault. There's nothing at fault with the game. And overall, it's interesting. Probably my only problem with it is it requires you to do certain things like reverse park, and you do that, but it doesn't actually say that you've done it. And you're supposed to just drive on, but it doesn't really give you indication that you drive on. And when you drive on after doing some of these things, it takes about 15 seconds for it to acknowledge that you've done it and that you should actually move on. So if you do play this game, don't think you just have to keep doing it until the game says, yes, that was correct. You just sort of do it and you just keep moving on. So in a way, I suppose it's replicating maybe a driving instructor sitting beside you. I understand there are a series now of video guides as well focused for the PS4 if you need them. Although the trophies are very easy. You only need to get 80%. If you're looking at it from the trophy perspective, you can lose points. So you start with 100 points at the start of the lesson. And if you fail to indicate or if you run a red light or, whatever else, you lose a couple of points. You can gain the points back. You'd have to really sort of, take a liberal approach to driving to not get the 80 points. It does, though, if you do hit another car, it ends the lesson. So there is no recovery from mowing down a pedestrian or hitting another car. So have that for one. But look, that overall is a very easy plat. Sort of, I think it can be done in 3 to 4 hours if you can, and tolerate the price tag on that one. I managed to platinum Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. So look, for an old man, I'm just proving that Finger Olympics.
Wait, what?
Sorry,
I don't understand.
What?
I don't understand. You've platinumed a non 20-minute platinum game?
Well, look, in my defense, this was on the Hong Kong store, so I thought it was a VN and you could skip it.
They got you.
But it turns out it's not. But it's close to a VN.
Yeah, I could see why Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 with the official Olympics icon would make you think that it's a visual novel.
Yeah, well, you've got to experiment. To be honest with you, there is visual. There is visual novel elements because on all the splash screens, it actually gives you information about the different venues in Tokyo and shots of them building it. And there is actually quite a lot of there's a lot of words, but it's quite well done. I know I've talked about this game before. It's an extension on the Smoots Summer Sports, if you like. This is a much more a complete package with the events. There are still 4 events to come that will come as the Olympics gets closer. I don't know if they'll have any trophies or not because all the trophies can be acquired within the game that is available. Now, you're probably looking at around, if you know what you're doing and you're on optimum path, you're probably looking at around 5 to 6 hours for this platinum, but it's unlikely you'll be on the optimum path. So you're probably closer to 8 to 10 hours. It's a really fun party game to play with somebody else. There are quite a few online trophies that can all be boosted. So you either need sort of 2 systems or somebody else would make it quite easy. And that actually helps a lot with the grinding for the tips, for the hats and for the clothing, because the XP or the money or whatever you want to call the currency in this game, the points builds up much faster online. So, if you were just looking for that fast path in that game, I would suggest from the very beginning, start playing it online just with one other person and trading wins. Of course, the AI is in the events as well. So it's not just a matter of, AFKing to trade wins. You do have to earn it. Probably the hardest trophy in the game there is the 10 gold medals. That definitely caused me some problems. I'd recommend from the very beginning that you find an event you're good at. None of them are particularly easy. Some of them can be a little bit cheap. So if you're losing, you maybe should persist because it seems the AI, the finishing times for events can change widely, or the distance thrown. I found myself the hammer throw in the end turned out to be the easiest, but it still took quite a few goes, a lot more than 10 to get that.
How many hours did this take?
Look, I don't know. I did it over a week and a half or so. So I'd say it probably took me 10 hours. But I did have a little trouble figuring out the online stuff. But then I did also self-boost it with 2 systems. So that would have saved me a lot of time, I think. But yeah, I think you could do it in 6 to 8 hours if you so wished. And then...
So, a decently chunked game.
Yeah. Look, I think it's great value. So it comes at around 340 Hong Kong dollars. It is on the Japanese store, but that is only in Japanese. So it's not quite a full price game. I suppose a 3/4 game. And if you have any interest in these games or the Olympics, there's plenty of, as I said, information here. And it is a really fun party game that you could come back to well after the platinum, if you so decide. And look, if you had an external hard drive, you could keep it downloaded, I suppose. There. So look, what else? Listen, I feel like dumping some gaming knowledge on you today. So I'm going to dump on you this Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but I'm going to dump it with a question to our guest and co-host. Now, I started this game. I'm quite enjoying it, but I find it's a little bit tense. I find some of the sections a little tense, and it tires me out. Again, as I mentioned before, listeners, I'm a man of age, so it's not surprising. But can I ask you, Mindy and Seagull here, do you ever find like for some games you're just too tired to play? You just like look at them and you just go, oh, just not today. Do you find that, or does that not happen to you?
That tends to happen to me. I won't say that exactly happens to me. What tends to happen to me is when I'm looking for something new and I see all of the choices I have and I just get a little overwhelmed. I'm like, I'll play something innocuous like Picross. I do that a lot with like streaming queues. I'll do the same thing where I'll see all this stuff that I'd never seen and I like marked on my watch list the stuff I want to see, and then I look at how much is on there, and I'm like, I'll just watch this thing I've already watched again.
Ironically, it's Mass Effect 2. I really don't. There are times where I really don't want to play it. That's the reason why I started .hack.gu, because I kind of rotate every other day on that, so that way I get a little break because I'm getting kind of burnt out on Mass Effect 2. It is getting harder as you go on, and the levels are getting longer because they're getting more difficult with the enemy spawns and all that. And sometimes I just don't want to deal with that. Yeah. So you just go into an easier grind.
I think there's something too, because the difficulty is not the problem, because I'm obviously playing this on the easiest setting possible, listeners, which does not surprise you, I'm sure. But I think it's just the fact that I know you've got to concentrate. It's a narrative-heavy game, which in principle I like, but I just wonder if perhaps I've reached the point where I'm sort of suffering from long game fatigue. I've reached my optimal performance level at 1 hour games, and perhaps just trying to manage in these 13-hour games is becoming too much. I'm not sure.
Wait. 24 hours is long for you?
Look, 2 hours it can potentially be long, I think. I just think this game, I'm really enjoying it, but there's a few things that I don't like, but I think that's coming from Assassin's Creed that, is really my issue, or whatever else, the way the quest system, side quest system works and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just wondered if either of you came across that. So look.
Well, something that you just brought this up, something that has happened is that I'll be playing a superior game and the system is way better. Then I'll go straight into an inferior game and I literally stall it out for 2 years.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because that's those 5% that say 2 years to 100% on my account. Though I literally come off of a very good experience into a more mediocre experience, and my brain just shuts off whenever that happens.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I think there's a lot of attachment there, because obviously spending so much time in Assassins, you
went from Assassin's Creed Odyssey to Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and in your opinion, Assassin's Creed Odyssey had a better system, and because of that, you're getting a drift on Shadow of the Tomb Raider because to you it's inferior to Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah, well, I wonder if it's not that I think it's inferior. I wonder if it's that I now need to learn a new system. And so I think there's a lot to be said. I play a lot of Final Fantasy 14 sometimes, and you get so used to the same system that there's a lot of comfort in that. And I wonder maybe just learning the new system is the problem. I don't know, but it is what it is. Look, I'm definitely not saying it's an inferior game either. I think it's a very good game, and I do intend to continue it on as we go. But it's interesting to hear that. I don't feel so bad now passing on it. And look, the final thing I'll throw out there is this Fatal 12. This might end up on your list at some point, Seagull. So this is a VN.
What is it?
Sorry.
Oh no, it's not.
No, it is a VN ported into English here, so it's available on the North American store. I don't think it's on the EU store as well. It's not badly priced for a VN. I think it's sort of about a half-price game, so that's quite a good deal. It's about 15 to 20 hours to read it or something. So, listeners, I don't pretend to get on my high horse here, because anyone that knows me knows that I've skipped more than my fair share of VNs. But I think it's a sign, if I choose to read a VN as well, that maybe it has merit. So really, I think the last VN I found a lot of merit in was Dark. Oh, what was that called? Was it Dark Mask? I've forgotten.
Might have been.
Oh, Deathmark?
Deathmark. Sorry, you think I would
Yeah,
remember
that one.
the name? And look, I thought that was really good. A really good sort of horror story. Very, very Japanesey, very set in the culture or whatever else, but and abstract as well. But I thought that was really good. I read that all the way through. I'm sort of still reading House of Fata Morgana, which I think is fantastic. The first 10 hours, not at all. If you wanted to skip them. But once you get past that, it's great. And look, this Fatal 12, I think, holds up as well. Now, I understand you can skip this game in about 15 minutes if you so wish. So, take that as you will. I believe there's even a video guide and a text guide available for that if you wish.
That's what I usually do. I skip them and then I go back and read them, so that way I get the platinum and then I read. Because I'm a manga nerd.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about this VN is there's not very much dialogue choice. So as a result, there's not many branching paths. So you could actually do this without, if you wanted to read it, you could just make a save. I think there's literally like maybe 8 to 10 text choices in the whole game. So as you can see, there's not a lot of branching paths. And I believe the CGs all come off the 3 different endings. So it doesn't actually matter as you're going as well, which I suppose makes it easier for skipping as you go. But the general premise of the story is really interesting. So you'll play as a female character, and at the very beginning of the VN, you're off to see a friend, and you're taking a train ride or whatever else. Now the train explodes and everybody dies in a fiery pit of hell. Yes, I'm not spoiling because that literally happens in the first 2 minutes or something.
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah.
It just
it is.
Depressing.
Yeah. No,
off the bat.
the drawing is the animation is fantastic. The music is not bad either. But the sort of hook, and again, this is typical Japanesey. So you have amnesia, of course. You don't realize. You wake up the next day and you don't really remember the crash. You sort of remember bits, and by all intention purposes, you still think you're alive, but you're actually dead. You have died, and then you enter this macabre game where you're sort of given a second chance, if you like, before you ascend to what they basically call heaven by another name. And there are 12 of you, I think. Yeah, 12. That's right. 12, of course, in the title, that are trying to basically vie for one more chance at life. So it's sort of a political and intrigue. You have these set of cards which are about you, your personality, and you have to get the information from other people's cards to sort of expose them, and then you get to vote them out. So the intro is really complicated, but when you realize there's only about 8 text choices throughout the whole game, you realize that you don't really make the choices, you just read the choices that are made for you. So it is much more straightforward. But that being said, it's fantastically, I don't know, like a lot of VNs just become a little bit absurd, I find, or break down. This one is almost like a fantastically sort of like a mind game, if you like, and exposing people and just digging into how they live their life or whatever else. Now, not everyone that is in this death game, I suppose you could call it, died in the train, but they all died at exactly the same time. So you're sort of also learning parts about what they were doing when they died and all this sort of thing. So look, it could be one that interests you, listeners, if you like reading VNs. And as I said, I don't read too many myself, but if I stop and read it, it's perhaps, there's perhaps some value to it. So I know Seagull plays VNs. I just before we move on, Mindy, do you have any interest in reading VNs, or does it not appeal to you, that genre?
I do. No, I do. I will admit I don't read all of them.
No.
But like whenever the Zero Escape games came out, I read those. I didn't text skip through them. The Danganronpa series.
Those are good reads. I read those all on the PC.
Danganronpa series, I didn't just skip through. I read it. I did text skip Fata Morgana the first time, but when I go back and clean it up on Vita, I'm gonna actually read it.
Yes, yeah.
It seems to me like I'm more likely to fully read something if there's actual gameplay, like Zero Escape is a room escape thing, and Danganronpa is like a searching and trial game, and so is Phoenix Wright, by the way. I also read Phoenix Wright. But something that's pure visual novel.
They're all made by the same company.
No.
Right?
No.
No? They're not made by Despair?
No. So Zero Escape is hang on. Zero Escape is Spike Chunsoft, I think.
Oh.
I think. Or is that Danganronpa? Yeah, so Spike Chunsoft is Zero Escape, and then Danganronpa is will spike chunks off. So those two, yeah. But Phoenix Wright is Capcom.
Because I knew that two of them were the same. I thought that the other one was the same, but it was originally for the 3DS. But I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, well, Zero Escape started as a DS game, and is more recent. Whereas Danganronpa actually started as a PSP game.
Vita, right?
It was a PSP game.
PSP. Ah.
But it was only in Japan, and then it got ported. When it got ported to the Vita, it got an English translation.
Got it.
And then Phoenix Wright is Capcom. But what was I saying? Oh, I tend to read visual novels until they lose me, and then I'm just like, I'll just
skip.
I'll just skip. I give everything a chance.
I think that's an interesting point you brought up about the gameplay. I wondered if that affected your decision, because I mean, this Fatal 12, it basically could be a novel. I mean, you could really take those choices, 8 choices or 10 choices out, and it could just be a book. So yeah, I can see the gameplay. It's sort of necessary. I think I tend to agree. I think one of my problems with visual novels is I think it's what you say is that the problem is that they're a massive time commitment, and if you're reading that, you could be reading a book, in effect you are reading a book. So in a way I hold them to a different standard. I don't hold them to a game standard. I probably hold them to a literature, a novel standard, and there's many things I'd like to read. So the problem with, as I said, a lot of the novels is you get into them and they tend to break down, or they get a bit tropey or just a bit ridiculous. And I think, as you say, you can see what's going to happen, or it doesn't. But as you said with the Zero Escapes, they actually have a twist to them, don't they? Like, it's almost like there's more in there, I think, in the plot.
Yeah, more than one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So
it's twisty all over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of my gripes with this Fatal 12 is, unfortunately, it only came out for the PS4. See, these things are great on the Vita, because you can take them with you and read them when you're around the place and, traveling or whatever else. But yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's another thing. I like my impatience with RPGs on console. I also have an impatience with visual novels on console. It has to be something like a book, like something I can hold in my hand and read.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spread out, lying down or whatever. Can't really game that way.
Yeah.
So.
No.
I'm like that too.
Yeah.
I gotta, if I'm gonna read something, it has to be in my hand, or it has to be a PDF, a free PDF online from those manga reading sites.
Yeah. Yeah. I think.
But I can't do it as a video game.
No.
It's very hard to.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. So, look, listeners, if you're trophy horror and you're looking for the latest VN skip, this is for you at 15 or 20 minutes or so. And if you're not a VN player and it intrigues you or whatever else, I would recommend this, or as Mindy correctly said, Death Mask, which I forgot, which was also fantastic, and is available on the Vita, not just the PS4. If you prefer reading these things on the Vita, is also good, or House of Fata Morgana. If you have a VN suggestion,
Death Mark.
Sorry, I keep saying it wrong, don't I?
I find that these are better to read on the Vita anyways. I find them a lot better on the Vita than on the PS4 or the PS3. I find it a lot easier to read it on the Vita. For some reason, just having it in your hand makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. That's right. And then just before we move on, I'm going to have a third shot at that, listeners. Death Mark. Sorry, you're totally right, Mindy. And of course, the only concern with that game is if you do pick that one up, the PS4 actually comes with all the chapters. The Vita version, the final chapter is sold as a DLC chapter. So if you were interested in that, it is a sort of a standalone story in the same world, if you like. Like the story finishes and then the DLC, furthers the story, but there is trophies, so you would actually have to buy both the game on Vita and the DLC as well. They don't sell them together, so just be warned. So talking about games to buy, why don't we shuffle across to the new releases for this week? And Seagull, would you like to start us off?
All right. Reincarnation. This is a game called Oni Naki. Reincarnation is the foundation of our way of life. We celebrate the lives we've been given and offer up prayers for the next. It is grief of death which shackles the living and cause the dead to stray. Indeed, there is no greater affront to reincarnation So do we turn to our grief to joy as we send off the dead. But the souls of those who held back their tears in life still need salvation in death. A duty that falls to the Watchers. Their task is to guide wandering souls known as the Lost and serve as the keepers of the living world and beyond. Konnichiwa.
Thank you as well. Look, I'd be tempted to buy this game if that was the voiceover. What do you think? Does it sway your interest? I think you just enjoyed reading it. I don't think you'd have any intention of playing that game.
I want to beat my backlog.
Yeah.
I want to, and then it's just going to keep on growing once I get a PS5. It's going to suck.
The only thing I know about this game, listeners, is it does have a really nice cover artwork in the store. So, if that's enough of a reason, pick it up and let us know what you think. Now, I'm going to throw one.
Is it a role-playing game?
Yes, I think so. I actually.
All right, then it's probably going to get. I'm probably going to buy it.
I know about it as much as you do on that game, other than the artwork, which was very nice. So look, I'm going to throw one out. You know a little bit about, and I know what's written in front of me. The Black Desert. So Black Desert is an expansive MMO sprawling across vast and various regions, from the forests of
Calpheon.
Oh, Calpheon. Thank you. Thank you for the save after letting me stall there for a while. From the forests of Calpheon to the harsh deserts of Valencia, Black Desert has a whole world to explore. Jump into fast-paced action combat, hunt monsters and huge boss fights, fight with friends in siege warfare or fish. It sounds like you can fight with friends or fish. That would be cool. Trade and craft your way to riches. So you know a little bit about this game, don't you, Seagull?
Yes. So this game is notorious for its high-paced player versus player. It has such a fluid combat system. And there's one other game that's like this. It's called Blade and Soul, but these type of games thrive in their their very high-paced combat, not so much their player versus environment. However, every MMO should have fishing, so that's a grant.
Of course,
you can't not have fishing in an MMO. That's the biggest grind of all is fishing.
We're just going to take a little sidebar here, listeners. We love to get off track here now. I wanted to mention this, Seagull, because I don't think you play this game anymore. I think we talked about Call of Duty in the past. You haven't played them recently, but I was reading today that the current Call of Duty, so whichever one we're up to, Black Ops 4, is that right? I think, yeah, that's the right one.
Yeah. What, is it about Modern Warfare 2?
No, that's the one coming, I think, isn't it? So the one that sort of came out last year.
Oh, that's the
the remaster. That's right. Yeah. Thing. So no, the one that came last year. So they obviously have the battle royale mode, if you like, in there that that you can play or whatever. But I read, interestingly enough, that they've added fishing to that, so you can actually.
What?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? You can fish in it. Now, the article said, the headline was, you can now fish in
ridiculous.
In Call of Duty, but it's extremely dangerous, which I can imagine it would be dangerous.
You're going to get a headshot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you get sniped from across the map. Look, I'm just taking my time here.
They're gonna camp you while you fish.
I know, but the cool thing is you don't catch fish; you actually catch weapons. So you have a chance to catch a gun or something like that in the water.
God. That just sounds ridiculous.
I know, but look, I don't have much interest in that game, but I'm definitely going to go back and play a match. And I'm sure there must be a whole lot of people camped by the water now that are just taking people out that are fishing.
They're stealing their loot.
That's right. That's right. It's a vicious circle. But look, anyway, that's enough about fishing. Let's come back to the Black Desert. I have a question for you. So it doesn't say anywhere here that this is crossplay. I imagine it will not be, knowing Sony's current position on this sort of thing.
Not.
How does a game like this survive, do you reckon? Because obviously it's gonna be integral that people pick it up. Do you think there's room for a game like this at the moment? This Black Desert?
Well, this game has been out and it already has a very dedicated player base. It's
on PC.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how it's gonna do on the. I mean, it should. I feel like they should offer cross-platform.
Yeah,
it would really help. The game itself has about 500,000 players or so.
Mm-hmm. It's just whether they'll be able to tap into.
You know, like that right now, that's like the current standard for MMOs, because nothing can beat Final Fantasy 14 and World of Warcraft's few million.
No.
Because like they're the only two that can have a subscription model now.
Yeah.
This game is free to play, which means that you're also going to have to pay to play. Like you're going to have to like pay to win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's going to have that design where you, in order to get all the best stuff, you have to pay like a subscription, and that subscription is going to give you like extra XP boost and whatnot, because that's what all these free to play games do now. Like you want full epic slots, you have to pay for that. You want full of the you want to be able to raid more than 2 times a week, you gotta pay the monthly fee. And those guys are going to be winning more than the free to play guys. I mean, that's the caveat with free to play. You're going to be paying. You have to pay to win. And there is literally no way to nerf it. You can't. It's how they make their money.
It will be interesting to see. I mean, there's probably never a good time to launch to test the waters with an MMO, but I imagine, now is not a particularly, I mean, even though summer, it's a slow period. I mean, with Final Fantasy 14, there's still a massive player pool there with the expansion being drawn. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
World of Warcraft, I think it's almost time for a new expansion for them too. So those guys are just going to be all on that.
Yeah.
I mean, these days, 20,000, 500,000 people, that's good enough for an MMO, because that's all they're going to get. Everybody's split on 2 different MMOs. Maybe 3 if you include Guild Wars 2, or 4 if you include the Elder Scrolls Online.
So, I mean, we're deviating again here slightly, listeners, but I finally spent a bit more time on Final Fantasy 14 this week after, a bit of a substantial break. And one of the things I noticed, one of the things I love about Final Fantasy 14 compared to some other MMOs is it's a very friendly community. It's very rare that you'll get thrown shade at in a dungeon or abused or whatever else. And I never noticed that at the time.
No, it's all in the PvP.
Yeah, but even that could be the case, because I don't play that a lot, but it was explained to be the reason.
Yeah, no, it's all
in
the PvP.
Yeah, it was explained.
Yeah, no, you trust me.
Yeah,
I played Final Fantasy 14 on the PC, and it is cross-platform. You are playing with PC players on the PS4.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
It's all on the PvP. If you're not playing PvP, you're not getting raged at.
No, not at all. I've never had. I mean, there's a few experiences here and there, but nothing major. And it was explained to me by someone that plays it, a lot over many years. Is that the reason why is that Final Fantasy 14 is populated by a lot of housewives, so it tends to be generally more relaxed and civilized in the dungeons.
I don't think that's
well.
True.
I look. It's a nice thought, though, isn't it? But the reason I bring
it is a very nice thought, and I do notice that in terms of differences in World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 14 does have a less cancerous community. For the amount of players it has a way less toxic community than World of Warcraft.
Yeah, look, I've noticed that, but the reason I bring it up was I was in the new expansion. You have to put in some serious time before you even get to the first dungeon, and by serious time I mean 3 to 4 hours, which I suppose is not that serious in an MMO. But
hashtag raid.
Yeah, that's right. It's a bit. And anyway, we got into this dungeon, and I know that this is late game. I mean, if you've been playing from the beginning, this is very late game content, and I've been mucking around with my hotbar and my selections for attacks, and so I don't really have it optimized. I'm trying some new things out. So anyway, I got into this dungeon, and look, it wasn't going well because some of the mechanics are getting pretty advanced now in these dungeons as well, particularly the boss fights and where you need to stand and where you need to do stuff. And so it wasn't going great or whatever else. And I knew it wasn't going great. And that one of the DPSs DPS, who cares? There's a million of them. So just get out and we'll get another one. He got a little bit abusive, and I know it was directed at me. And that's fine, because I agree. I probably was not completely on my game. He decided to abandon us halfway through the dungeon, which is totally fine.
Are you a tank?
I am a tank, yeah. So tank. So I understand,
Healer.
that if something goes wrong, it's usually the tank's fault. So, it can go very, very bad very quickly. Well, within reason. But the reason I bring it up is I noticed another.
Wouldn't always blame the tank.
No,
could be the healer.
This is right, because I noticed another comment today from a newer player who's playing, and they just said, I've been playing dungeons and they're so toxic and stuff, and this and that they were playing as a tank, and the healer comment came up, but one of the other comments reading from someone else, and I hadn't considered this, although I wonder if I'll see it more now. I saw it last night. Is that there are obviously an influx of a lot of new players, a lot of players returning, I should say, with the new expansion that obviously put in their time, but may not have played for a while. And Final Fantasy, like most MMOs, has a duty roulette, if you like, for leveling up and bonuses that you play every day, a dungeon or a trial. So you're playing with people that have probably done these things 50, 100, 1,000 times, and they're coming back now, and they, I suppose, are less patient of people, because the difference between doing it well and doing it badly can be half an hour, can be longer, depending on if it gets really bad, I suppose. So it was an interesting thing. So
sometimes it's the DPS's fault, because they're not dishing out enough DPS to actually finish off the boss.
Of course. So not leveling blame anyway. And as I say to that person that wrote that thing, like the great thing about being a tank is that tanks are in demand in Final Fantasy 13. DPS are not. So you're going to be fine.
They're in demand everywhere. Healers and tanks.
Yeah. So you
do a random. You go into random dungeons. It's random queue. If you're a tank, you're going to get insta popped. If you're a healer, you're going to get this with any MMO.
That's right. Which is a handy tool to know. And the healer, there's too much going on there. But look, anyway, we deviated far enough. Mindy, let's come back here. Now, you're going to talk to us about this Harvey Eyes game.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Harvey's New Eyes. So the game was originally... So this is an older game. This is an older Daedalic game. The people who did Deponia. And it's one of their first ones, actually. So this came out in 2011, 2012. It's actually a sequel to... So the game was originally titled Edna and Harvey, Harvey's New Eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a sequel to the game Edna and Harvey, Harvey's Breakout. And this is one of those rare things where I think you'll like the game better if you're familiar with the first game, even though it's a spin-off and not a sequel to the first game, which is just a weird thing to think about, that you'd enjoy the spin, whatever. But it's a point and click. It's a dark point and click. It deals with some very very dark stuff, especially for being a T-rated game. But let me read the summary, and then I'll talk about it. Lily, a young girl at a convent school, is the main character of Edna and Harvey, Harvey's New Eyes. Apparently the best behaved little girl in the world, she executes all her tasks diligently, no matter how unfair they may be. Her innocent, imperturbable way of carrying out orders of others has something both tragic and eerie about it. Any resentment, any childlike disobedience is buried deep beneath the seemingly impenetrable shell of sweetness. But how long until the shell will fissure? When her best friend Edna disappears under mysterious circumstances, Lily has to rise above her own and face a tough journey to not only get her friend back, but also confront her subconscious fears. So I really like this game. I really liked it back in 2012, and I really liked it having replayed it recently.
So this is a remastered?
No, it's just a port. It's a cartoony point and click. It doesn't need remastering.
Well, I kind of just categorize them as the same thing. I don't know why. That's just what I do.
No, it's just a port. It's one of those games that you get more out of it when you think more. Like it's got some really dark subjects in it, but the whole art style is really cutesy and cartoony. But if you actually think about what's going on, like it's really kind of horrendous. Like, for example, like the description said, Lily is in this like seemingly impenetrable shell of sweetness. So, and this really isn't a spoiler, but like in the very beginning of the game, like Lily comes across a dead body, and it's a dead body, and anyone looking would know it's a dead body, but to Lily, it's just this weird purple blob, and there's this mysterious like little gremlin that's just painting it purple, and she doesn't see anything wrong with this.
Oh my god.
So you think she's just kind of crazy, and then you kind of realize, oh, she's just repressing the hell out of stuff.
Oh.
And part of it is, if you play Danganronpa, you know that all the blood is like this neon purple. There is no blood in Danganronpa. It's the same kind of thing here, where you're like, why is it purple? But I highly recommend it. It's fun, it's funny. Like, if you like dark humor, you're gonna like this. No, it really is. I really recommend it. Takes about...
This sounds good.
Yeah.
Can I ask, how manageable is this game without a guide, though? Can you puzzle it out, do you think, or will you need some help for the average person like myself?
It depends. Do you want to just play it, or do you want the platinum?
So perhaps a better question is, are there missables?
Yeah, almost the entire list is missable trophies. I think, top of my head, I think there are five story unmissable trophies, and the rest of it is missable.
How long is this game?
Not terribly long, honestly. If you use a guide, 2 or 3 hours. If you don't, more like 6 or 7, just to figure out what to do.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not long. It's like I said, it's early Daedalic, so it was, they didn't have a huge budget, and it was just, I feel like it was just the one guy. Like, the first Edna and Harvey game was a college project, a university project by, I want to say it was Jan Mueller Michaelis, who is one of the founders of Daedalic. I feel like that was just a one-man thing. And then when Daedalic got started, it was like 2 or 3 guys, and I think it was just them for a couple of years. And this would have come out during that time. I could be dead wrong, and they could have had a full team.
Okay.
But for a Daedalic game, this is one of their shorter ones.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you recommend this game, so we should.
I do. And for people who know point and clicks at all, if you've ever played a point and click called Harvester, which is kind of an infamous mid-90s point and click. If you ever played Harvester and you like it, you will like this. You will definitely like this game. If you ever played Harvester and didn't like it, still give this one a shot.
Okay. That sounds, well, look, it's still a bit of a light week, so that seems like some good quality to spend your time on this week. If you're waiting for, for only a couple of weeks till we get the big releases. Another thing you might be anticipating, or you might just have forgotten about completely because it is such a long gap between episodes, is the 4th episode of Life is Strange 2, which will be dropping on the 22nd of August. Only one more episode to go after this, but you'll be waiting numerous months for that as well. So
yay, the time grows closer that I can actually play it. Yay!
And get the 100%. Yay!
In their defense, they have been hitting the dates, they say. So assuming it all holds true there, you will definitely be able to play it this year. So, that is something to look forward to. So, look, I think, listeners, we are going to move over to we're going to do like a mini sort of topic today, if you like, because it's very, personal preference or whatever else. We can't argue the fact, I don't think, here, because these characters each mean something to all of us. But, maybe as we go through, you can sort of, think about your memorable characters and, let us know. So the topic we thought for today is the most memorable characters for ourselves. Now, who wants to start us off, Seagull? Would you like to throw out some characters that, that mean either good or bad? They mean something to you. They epitomize the game, if you like.
Well, I'm going to say Nathan Drake and Sully. And the reasoning for them is because they have this like parent and child relationship, and it's just super endearing to me how that all works and how Naughty Dog actually created all that. Way better than Tomb Raider. Sorry.
It's funny how polarizing those two games are, aren't they? Like, like technically...
They're just Indiana Jones ripoffs.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Technically, at their core, they come from the same place, yet the characters really... Because I was thinking about it this morning. I'm with you. I quite like Nathan Drake, the character. And I don't dislike Lara, but she annoys me, I think. And it's just funny because, at their heart, they're the same sort of thing, really. But, yeah.
I also like... Well, I don't really it's hard because I don't really particularly like their characters. Just the moments that they're in a heated battle, like the battle theme that was going on. I like Cloud and Sephiroth for their last fight that they have. That's just a very memorable thing.
You mean One Winged Angel?
Yes, and the Bahamut and all that.
So, Mindy, why don't you throw something out for us?
Well, do you want? So here's my question. Do you want memorable or do you want iconic?
Well, I mean, iconic as in, shapes the generation, I suppose. Is that what you're meaning there, as opposed to memorable that's memorable personally?
Yeah, because I would call someone like what's his name? Far Cry 3, Voss. Like I would call him memorable.
I could see that. Yeah,
a memorable character. But when you said, I think when we were throwing this and I think I'm just stuck on when we were throwing this topic around, and we shaped it as what makes a memorable video game character. So I think I'm kind of stuck on that phrasing of it.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, I think
rather than just video game characters you like, and that's where I got into this memorable versus iconic.
Let's go with memorable. I think the problem with iconic is that, iconic is sort of set now, isn't it? Your Mario, your Sonic, all these characters, your Mega Man, if you will.
Spyros.
I'm sorry, Seagull.
Mega Man is a Metroidvania.
Oh, you did both in one. Excellent.
And that's I mean, it's not, but we've at least covered that for another week.
But you know what I'm saying? They're sort of widely agreed upon now. I suppose memorable. I may have misused the word like this. So memorable to yourself, that have made a game or the game memorable to you. I suppose personally.
Yeah, I tend to like characters who are really compelling. I think a problem with a lot of modern games, not all of them, but I see this a lot in like first person perspective games. And I can't totally blame them because it's supposed to be you, so you're supposed to be able to be in with, I guess, you're supposed to be immersive. But for me, it's like I'm playing someone with zero personality.
Yes.
I am playing a non-character. In your attempt to kind of immerse me into this world, what you've done is you've put me in as a wall, basically, like a wall that can shoot a gun. And everyone's just talking at me. Like there's no personality whatsoever.
This is Far Cry 3? What was this? What game is this?
No, well, I don't mean Far Cry 3 specifically, but Far Cry 3 I mentioned because I think Voss is memorable. The one of the villains there. But I can't talk about Voss without talking about OG Voss, honestly, and that's Kefka Palazzo from Final Fantasy VI.
I love rampaging clowns in the morning.
He's pretty great. He's so Kefka is the villain, and he's kind of like a successful Voss. So we're gonna do spoilers here. So in sorry, I was gonna say Final Fantasy in Far Cry 3. Voss is set up to be like, oh, this is the main guy I'm gonna fight, and then midway through the game, no, he's not the big bad, which was a weird choice. But whereas in Final Fantasy VI, Kefka is the main dude's sidekick, and the entire game you're like, oh, it's the main dude so bad, and then it's actually Kefka. Oh, Kefka's the big bad. Oh, he
it's always the killer clown.
He straight up just took out the big bad guy for us, and
backstabbing like Shaco in League of Legends.
He was bad, but he's legit crazy, Kefka. Like he's just this nihilistic. He doesn't have this story. Like so many in I think an attempt to make characters compelling, so many villains get this story where you're supposed to feel for them, or you're supposed to understand, well, this is why they're evil. Kefka's just straight up evil. Like there's
yes, he is. He's in a lot of Final Fantasies too.
Yeah,
I think he's in 11 and 14, the two MMOs.
Well, CJ, you would know. Is he in 14?
The Killer Clown, yeah, he's in the trailers. He was also in the first MMO 11.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Was he?
played 11 a lot.
Mm.
That was
Mm.
great.
Well, I mean, like I said, he's just straight
Mm.
evil. Like it's not like, oh, the Emperor killed his parents and he's, got personal retribution, but by the time he built up to it, he went no, he's just straight up crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Look, I want to pull you up on something, and I want to ask you both this. Although Mindy brought it to light here. So just a moment ago, you're talking about first person games or whatever, and this presence, like you're a wall and they're talking to you and stuff like this, and so you don't feel it. Do you, when you play games, and obviously it's game specific, but I suppose to carry on this idea of whether the game has a memorable character or not, do you see yourself as the character, or do you just see yourself as associating with the character? Do you understand what I mean?
I guess it depends on the game. Like, when you play a game like Skyrim or Mass Effect, you are the character. That's what I feel like. But like,
that's right.
But that is just because you created the character. So you have that attachment automatically as you playing the game as you, because you're making the choices and whatnot. But like, if you're playing like Tales of Graces, I feel like you're just in it for the ride.
Yeah. So Mindy, like I think you've sort of already answered this much more briefly, but like, how do you see it? Do you find that the more memorable characters in your eyes are ones that you actually feel you are in the game, or more ones that you feel you're just associating with or whatever, but they are, you don't see them yourself as them in the game?
Honestly, I can't think of and I'm sure I will when we're done recording, but I can't think of a character that I genuinely was like, yes, I am inhabiting this character, as opposed to I am playing as this character to varying degrees. Obviously, for a first person, it is more immersive because you cannot see this person that you're playing, as opposed to
it's like you're playing as him because it's how the first person works.
Yeah, as opposed to a third person where it's just someone on screen that you're controlling. But I can't say I've ever played like Far Cry and been like, I am fully associated as this, like, this is who I am now. I'm just like, no, I'm playing this game and I'm enjoying it,
I'm the same way, CJ. I'm just gonna copy and paste her answer and plop it there.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing to consider, isn't it? I think
I never really feel attached. Once the game is over, I kind of just, honestly, some of the times I even forget.
Yeah, okay.
There are some times where I, like, after a few months of this legendary adventure, I'll just forget.
That is interesting. Well, although, as you mentioned, Nathan Drake earlier and Sully, so you do have some characters you hold on to in some effect there. I suppose what I'm driving at is I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about three different characters because, listeners, as you know, I tend to play a lot of games for varying lengths or whatever, so I'm exposed to a lot of different characters, and I think what I like are the characters that are, like, personally myself, the three that I picked, I don't see myself as in the game either, which is why I asked that question. But I think they have a raw honesty, and I like a flawed character. I think maybe it makes me feel better about myself, I'm not sure. But I like to see a character over the course of a game struggle with their position or, struggle with their reality or whatever else, and to come to, a positive or negative conclusion or whatever. And so for the characters that I sort of picked, and again, no surprise, one of my favorite characters is Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, because he does, from the very beginning of that game to the end, he undergoes a massive life, experience and transformation or whatever. Now, I'll admit that I don't particularly like the ending of that game, but I like
that ending was confusing.
Yeah,
I do. I also like Noctis because he evolves. He evolves
hugely, yeah,
really, really well into the later game. Like he has a more defining presence the later you get. It's great. He acts more like a king the
yes.
higher level you go, and it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
And I think it's what I like about that game is that I think it's realistic enough that he doesn't go from one to the other like instantaneously.
No, it's like 20 hours later or something. Like it's like little progressions that you do get subtle hints about them. No, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the advantages is we haven't mentioned this, but support characters setting up memorable characters, and his friends in that game, which are a core group of that, their relationship changes with him, and it changes. They change quite a lot across the course of the game to where they finally finish, and again that's an abrupt change that I can understand some people may not like, but I think it supports the overall change. So I thought I'd throw that out, and I'll throw out just two more. Well, I know you have some more characters as well you're going to throw out, but I've only got two more. And then the next one, and I don't think either of you will know this character because he is from Life is Strange 2, is Sean Diaz. So I think anyone that's he's the main character. He's the older brother. So and I'm not going to go into the game, but I think that anyone that's played this would have to. Like, I mean, he's in a you're fucked if you do, you're fucked if you don't situation right from the beginning, opening 2 minutes of the game that only progressively. Yeah, but I mean, again, it shows a realism to life, and it definitely puts an interesting angle on American society today. And what I find interesting is because obviously by not a French developer, it's their perspective from outside of the country, which is even more interesting, I suppose, to myself, because balance against what we see and think here. But that aside, the character they've created is in effect is a child that is forced into adulthood, and what I really like is that that's how the first few episodes go, and then the last episode they really evolve his character into the fact that he is only 17, because in the earlier episodes you start to get the feeling that he's not, he's taking care of his brother, he's making some big decisions and as best he can, and you almost sort of see him as a much older character, and then you really see that indecision come back in, and I think that's rare because in most of the games I've played, listeners, it's very rare that I find a character fleshes out more in the middle. Usually they're fleshing out early on or they just don't at all. It's very rare that they change direction, I find. I don't know if either of you would agree with that. But for me, that really develops that character. And again, I think the game is exceptional if you like stories like that, but the progression, I can't wait to see where he ends. And he really does give you a sense of ownership over that direction, perhaps unlike some of the Telltale style games and characters. And then the last one, and I promise then I'll shut up so you two can have a go, just to round this out completely, is the Warrior of Light, who of course is your character in Final Fantasy XIV. Now he never talks in the game, so you have dialogue options, but they're in every way trying to make you feel you are the character. And I don't know, for me that has never worked. I definitely do not see him as myself. I think the game is too political, unless your politics lined up exactly with what the actions are. I suppose it's very difficult to see yourself as that. But at the same time, I mean, he draws you in. I mean, you wouldn't spend 500 or 1,000 hours if he didn't in it. And again, I think it comes back to those surrounding characters.
You would be surprised.
Yes, I know some people play, but I think the story in that MMO, and particularly in the expansion, has some of the best writing of any game or of any MMO. So I think there is an element to his story, keeps people going, keeps the subscription going.
The grind
anyway,
is what does that.
Yeah, and the development of the Scions, and Alphino and LSA, Thancred, all these people in there, they're equally. I mean, again, the game is so long, they can develop them so well, but the interplay, which is really only there to set yourself up as the central character and to move through the game. It's just, I think that's what it does it for me. Why, I think about those characters well after I'm playing the game, or if I do, finish it or whatever. So, maybe that gives you some sort of thoughts into my process for this. But so Mindy, I've been going on and on and on. The listeners are dead bored of me now. Do you want to throw out some more?
Yeah, I got to get my point and click in, because that's what I'm all about. Yes. So I'm going to throw in. By the way, I agree with you on flawed characters, and there is one I might talk about later if we have some time.
Please. Yeah.
But the one I really want to get in is my boy Guybrush Threepwood, the mighty pirate.
Yes, pirates are good.
So Guybrush is the main character of the Monkey Island series of games, of which there are several. How are there? So there's 4, and then the Telltale 5-episode one.
Yeah, that one that you cannot get anymore.
Yeah, which is a shame because
it's
actually pretty good.
It's digital, and they're out. They're all removed. Damn.
And it never came out on a disc, which is sad because it's actually a pretty good game. Which is back when Telltale made point and clicks as opposed to QTE narratives.
So sell me Guybrush. Why?
Guybrush, he's just a lovable goof. So here's the interesting thing about Guybrush is he is a rare character, I think, that has been rebooted in the same series, with the series not having been rebooted. So like Lara Croft has been rebooted, but so has her series. Monkey Island has not been rebooted, but his character has been. And I think both of them work. So in the first two games, in Secret of Monkey Island and Monkey Island 2, Curse of Return of LeChuck, there's a definite arc for him. So in the first one, he's this kind of bright-eyed, I want to be a pirate. He's got a seriousness to him, but he's still just kind of figuring his way and gaining confidence in learning how to be a pirate. And then the second game, he's become a pirate. So he's very, very self-assured. He's more of a what you call kind of a stereotypical action hero. Like he's getting into fights and stuff. And then you get to the Curse Monkey Island, which is the third game. And part of it, I believe, is because they changed the art style to make it a lot more cartoony, because that was kind of the trend at the time with point and clicks. He became a lot more of a goofball. And I also think part of the reason is that, Guybrush has his girl, because of course he does. And his girl is Governor Elaine Marley, and she's also this very hyper-competent person. And I think they just saw an opportunity of, well, that's not funny to have two confident and able people, kind of butting heads as a couple. You can't really do that. But if one of them is a total, a goofball who stumbles into the right things as opposed to just, doing it effectively the first time you try, there's a lot more comedy to it. I do know that the guy who created Ron Gilbert, he's not a huge fan of the new Guybrush. But I like both of them. I do. And he's definitely memorable, and I would hesitate to say iconic, because he has made the jump to other games.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is the guy from Monkey Island also in what's that fighting game called? PlayStation All-Stars?
No. Nathan Drake was. So he was in I want to say a Star Wars game. Like you could put in a cheat code and play as Guybrush. But he also was in Uncharted 4, speaking of Nathan Drake. So in Uncharted 4...
Really? I didn't know that.
You can find this room that has a bunch of like portraits of famous pirates. And so you've got like Blackbeard and then one of them, they never quite name him, because like the portraits are old and the names have been lost to time or whatever. But you look at it and it is very clearly Guybrush, which I thought was pretty cool. When I saw that in Uncharted 4, I smiled quite a bit.
Okay, interesting. And then now flawed characters. So you were saying, Mindy, you wanted to elaborate a little there? Why do we like them? Why?
Oh yeah, so I think they're more interesting. I think it's super boring. Like, yes. I think Superman is really boring.
He is. I mean, Iron Man is the king, right? Can we all agree that Marvel is better because they all have more flaws?
I will have to take your word on that.
That doesn't mean to put in flaws just to have flaws,
Yeah.
No, it offers better character design in the long end because they evolve.
Like I said, it's much, much more interesting.
Yeah, Superman's boring. I agree.
He's super boring. Super boring. I'm going to do another point and click, and I'm going to throw out Gabriel Knight here.
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel Knight's another point and click series by Jane Jensen. Shout out. And he's, pardon my language, he's just a dick. Like, he is not a good guy. He is the protagonist. He is doing the right thing, but he's often doing it for selfish reasons. He's not, he's not this paragon of light. He's just a jerk. And what you do see over the course of the 3 games that he's in is more of a willingness to do things because they're right, as opposed to there's a payday or he's forced to do it through circumstance. But he never really gets out of that selfish, what's the word I want? But he never really grows out of that. It just kind of gets to lesser degrees, and I think that's interesting. It's an arc, but it's not an arc that quote fixes everything, that you would look at this guy and say, well, this is not my pardon the pun, my knight in shining armor.
It sort of harks back to, I suppose, whether you, I don't know, whether you just need the perfect person. I mean, a lot of video games, I mean, we're throwing out a tangent again here, I suppose, but a lot of games, have crafted this character that's just perfect. In largely, they're not flawed, and people just play and they feel great. But I think this extra stuff, I don't know, maybe it's an age thing. Maybe I need more than perfection. Maybe I know perfection doesn't exist anymore, and it's the grittiness that is interesting.
Oh no, it doesn't exist. Nobody's perfect, and no character is perfect. But I have a perfect character. It's so perfect and iconic and memorable because it's so simple. Mayo jar.
I knew when you were saying that you were going to say the mayo jar. But look, I mean, it develops, doesn't it? It changes its outfit. Yeah. So, Mindy, do you have any other characters you want to throw in?
I can't think of any right now, but I'll update if I think of any.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, there's something there for everyone, even those with less depth than us, perhaps, that embrace the mayo jar.
Screw you.
But look. Well, you opened the door.
Mayo jar wins.
So, well, we spoke a lot about the mayo jar last time, so we'll move on from that, listeners, as you will. So, look, why don't we move across now? Well, before we do, listeners, if you have a memorable character, let us know. Reach out. What do you think? I'd be interested. If for nothing else, that we might find some new games for us to somehow juggle in the million that we're already playing, I suppose. But with that intact, why don't we move to the spam of the week? And now, Mindy, I believe you had something already. You were going to start us off with here.
I did. So at first I thought this was the rat game for next week, but it's not. So I still don't know what the rat game for next week is.
Nobody ever does. It's always a surprise.
Well, because Gravity Duck, but that came out last week, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah they only the last day or so. That's true.
Oh, okay. Then someone else can talk about that. I want to
wait for the Asian stacks.
I want to talk about Pants Hunter.
Yes.
Or Pants.
Well, that's the name of it.
But it's
Pantsu Hunter.
Pantsu.
Wow, who knows?
And it's part of me wants this to be a parody game,
yes.
But it's probably not. And it's just like a little, I guess, puzzle visual novel where your only purpose is to steal girls' panties.
Yeah, so this is like that other one.
And it's a I think there's some visual novel in it. It's a platinum. It's out by Sometimes You, so it will not be cross-buy, and there will still be 4 to 6 stacks of it.
Drowning was cross-buy. That was someone.
Was it really?
Yeah, I got for the Vita and the PS4 on the buy, and I just recently did that a few weeks ago.
Huh. They tend not to cross-buy their games. That surprises me.
When you said that name, Pantsu Hunter, for some reason I just had this image of old ladies in pantsuits walking around the mall. And it could be because I'm watching a bit of Better Call Saul at the moment, so that happening a bit. But I just had this image of old ladies in their pantsuits, and then I just brought it up, and the image, they're definitely not old ladies, are they? And they're definitely not wearing pantsuits.
No, they're
No, they are.
This is potentially, it's risque spam. This is fantastic. We've reached a new level, listeners. Risque spam.
If it may end up being like a Senran Kagura or a 1 minute Senran Kagura hentai.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing is I don't think it is, which makes me wonder if there's some parody in this game.
Yes, yeah. The trophies make me think of that VN, the Panties VN game, which ironically I don't remember the name of. Possibly.
Oh, Punchline.
Yes, it is ironic because I played that game like 4 or 6 times, and I've never been able to get the plat. I always miss one. It's ironic. But anyway, Pantsu Hunter. Do we have any? Now, I'm going to throw one out here because you know this better than me, Mindy, because I haven't played it yet. High Class Spam, the new stack of Trouba Book.
High Class, arguably not spam. I think it's a little too long for spam, but definitely worth a play.
Yeah, I don't think we know where that stack is from actually either, do we? Which makes it even more interesting.
I think it's an Asian stack.
Okay.
Trouba Book.
Yeah.
The original Mecha Wars was what, like 4 hours long. That I know it's
No.
not spam, but this new one could still be
Yeah.
easy and
I think this new
doable.
one is a bit less friendly. The first one was a bit obnoxious, to be honest with you. I think I'm not sure on that, but yeah, just we'd be careful of that. We should throw out a gravity duck, of course, because if you're going to be a duck,
You've played it, so
yeah. Well, it's still spam.
What is it like?
It's good. I mean, if you're going to be a duck, you want to be a duck that can fly upside down and fly from side to side, don't you? This game is very easy. Again, it's following the line of the Hoggy, and also the Super Willow D-Max or whatever we're going to call it, D-Make, in that you really don't need a guide for it. You can just play it straight through. Having said that, there are numerous video guides if you wish to use it. This is probably well, I don't know, the other two are pretty easy as well. I was going to say this is the easiest, but it's definitely on par with those ones. I mean, the only difference in this game is you actually have to play 50 levels, which I suppose is more commitment than has been required of the other games. But look, you can still do it in 15 or 20 minutes, so it gives you an idea of how long it is. It's fun though. I enjoyed it. You literally play as a duck. You hang off the roof or you hang off the floor, and then you can hit these little like whirly pads that will change your direction. So then you can walk on the walls, going up or down on the sides of the walls and stuff. There's some basic, I suppose, sort of platforming, if you like. I wouldn't go as far as to call it puzzling. And the premise basically is you do the 50 levels. Each level, at the end of the level, there is a golden egg. You run over the golden egg, pick it up, and then the level finishes, and you move on to the next level. There are no boss fights not in the first 50 levels anyway. But it's quite fun. So, I didn't mind it. Do we have anything else?
I don't really see anything else.
There's not a
I
lot.
don't think so.
No. I see we're getting another word wheel.
Oh no, there's a new stack of Perils of Baking. Probably another Asian stack.
I don't know about that game. There's an Asian stack of word wheel. That's that is what that is. PC building simulator, which is unfortunately not spam, although it's delightful that there is a PC building simulator on the PS4.
Those the PC Master Race is gonna give us an earful. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Well,
what I was wondering is if you build a PC in PC building simulator on PS4, will it actually run each time, or will you have the same problems you have with a PC, where it works when it wants to? I don't know.
Oh, you Mac users are.
Yeah, look, the superior
trash.
Race. Mac is
trash.
Fantastic. You just push the button; it always works because it takes into consideration you have no idea what you're doing. So
I know how to hack a Mac. I can do it for you.
Yeah. So look, that's quite a lot of games there. I think for August in the slow period. I don't think that's too bad at all. Now, before we close out, because I almost forgot to do this last week, I will do it this week. Let's have a quick dalliance into the Push to Platinum Club, and I see that the Mind is a City. If you know her, say hello. I see she's on fire. 506 Ovivo, 507 Conga Master. I finally did it, which we've already discussed. And that's all. Did you draw? Oh no, 508 Harvey's New Eyes as well.
Oh right, I need to put my crap in there.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to read you out today because you didn't. Mindy, you're accelerating your pace, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm bored.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I better be careful. You'll be up on 600 plats in no time, I imagine. And then, look, we've got... I posted Sage one as well, didn't I? But we've talked about that, so we'll move on for that. And then we had a listener who posted one as well. Here we go. Platinum 53 for Ed the Shed. That's an awesome name. Ed the Shed 2014 Sagebrush, and he says here, "Don't you just love the spam?" Well, so you've definitely come to the right place.
Yeah, you bet.
we will have to agree with you. So don't forget. I know we've had some people jump in there. Feel free to post any plat pics or whatever. I like it because it always gives me suggestions of what I should buy and never play, as Mindy would say. But I can add at least to the X-Bar on the system. And look, if for nothing else, that we've got to break up Mindy's plats because she seems to be earning too many at once.
Yeah, well, I'm putting off, Red Dead Redemption. That's basically what that is.
One day we'll talk about that. That day is not today, my friends. One day I might even play that game.
Yeah, and you'll 5% it like you always do. Oh my god.
Well, 5% will probably take 50 hours in that game. We'll have to wait and see. So, look, I want to thank you, Seagull, for joining us today. I hope you had an enjoyable time.
I have. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. It was our pleasure. Now, if we're trying to find you, Seagull, where can we find you?
You can find me at Discord, DatOneSeagull, on the PSN as DatOneSeagull, on League of Legends as the Alpha Seagull.
Excellent. And Mindy, where can we find you?
Twitter at The Mind is a City. Also PlayStationTrophies.org, The Mind is a City. If you want to support my guide writing, I'm on Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/The Mind is a City.
And if you're looking for the show, we do have our own Twitter at push2plat, push2plat. On Twitter, please feel free to come leave us a comment, a follow, or a question. We're always looking for questions. I believe we have a few in the backlog, but we can always take more. The show is available on iTunes, Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, YouTube, and many other good podcast providers. And don't forget, if you're interested, please jump in and join our PS4 community. So with that, I think we are done for today. Let's put a pin in it. Let's go play something fun. I hope you have something lined up for this weekend as well, listeners. We will catch you next week. Happy trophy hunting. Have a blast. Thank you, DatOneSeagull, and thank you, Vicky.
Bye.